Zuri, 16, sharp-witted, observant, and fiercely loyal. Her younger sister, Amara, only 12, has gentle eyes and a quiet voice. Since the death of their mother several years ago, Zuri has been the anchor of the family, helping her 12-year-old sister navigate grief. Their wealthy father, a man devoted to his daughters but often away on business deals, jetting off to conferences and investing in portfolios. He tried to give them a good life, one filled with tutors, garden parties, and everything money could buy, except a mother's love. And then came Evelyn Monroe, a beautiful, poised woman with expensive taste, a tight smile, and a voice as smooth as syrup and just as sticky. Their father, charmed by her grace and social status, was soon planning a grand wedding. In less than a year, she was redecorating the villa and whispering structure and discipline into every crevice of the household. Zuri noticed the subtle shift in the house's atmosphere. The staff purposefully avoided Evelyn as much as possible. Her aura left a prickly chill on your skin. Amara flinched when Evelyn entered a room, the sadness that lingered in her eyes even when she smiled. One day, Zuri saw bruises on Amara's arm. At first, Amara hesitated to explain, but eventually she confessed. Evelyn had been hurting her, physically and verbally, calling it discipline, to prepare her for the standards of high society. The sharp slaps to her cheek, the whispered insults laced with sugar. "You're too clumsy for this family. Wipe that stupid look off your face." Zuri's blood boiled. She transformed from a quiet daughter to a gleeful architect of psychological mayhem. She didn't confront Evelyn outright. Instead, Zuri decided to unravel her carefully polished image through quiet, psychological warfare. Her revenge would be slow, unnerving, and unforgettable. With her father frequently away on business, the villa became her stage, and Evelyn her audience. What followed was not revenge in the usual sense. It was performance art. At night, she would stand over Evelyn while she slept, a butcher knife held loosely in her hand. Not to harm, just to be seen. Evelyn would wake screaming, trembling. Zuri would simply smile and say she was having a strange dream. Each night, for a week, Zuri would creep into Evelyn's room, at exactly 2:03 a.m., just as Evelyn fell into deep sleep. Evelyn would wake to the feeling of being watched. There, at the foot of her bed, stood Zuri, barefoot, still, a butcher knife in hand. What are you doing?" Evelyn gasped. Zuri tilted her head. "Just checking you're still breathing." Zuri would smile softly and say things like, "Mom told me to check on you." She returned, night after night. Sometimes there were no words. Sometimes a gentle smile, but always the butcher knife. By the 4th night, Evelyn started sleeping with the lights on. By the 6th night, she moved a chair against the door. It didn't matter. Zuri was always inside before the door was locked. Then came the games. Household objects were mysteriously misplaced. Favorite perfumes went missing and reappeared after the room was searched. Expensive shoes had one missing heel. Zuri moved Evelyn's belongings just enough to make her question her memory. Evelyn began doubting her own mind. Next came the disarray. Zuri moved things, not dramatically, just enough to make Evelyn question her memory. Evelyn's silk scarves were braided into nooses and hung across the closet like festive bunting. Her wedding ring disappeared for 2 days, only to show up inside a hollowed-out avocado. Furniture shifted slightly each day. The sugar was replaced with salt. A mirror moved to catch her at strange angles. Zuri rearranged Evelyn's furniture slightly every day, making her bump into sharp corners and stub her toe. "Did I move that?" she whispered. Evelyn called an interior decorator, who found everything perfectly fine. "Look what I found," Zuri announced sweetly. "A stray puppy." It was not a puppy. It was a baby coyote, its fur scruffy, its eyes golden and wild. Evelyn screamed the first time it lunged at her Prada heels. She called it a menace. Zuri called it fangs. Fangs followed Evelyn everywhere. It stared at her while she ate. It sat outside her shower door. It once urinated on her bed. During the brief moments Mr. Abuja was home, he was oblivious as always. He just chuckled. Kids and their pets. Evelyn recoiled every time it snarled or stared at her too long. Zuri insisted the animal had a sixth sense for liars. In actuality, Zuri put mothballs and black pepper in the hem of Evelyn's clothes. Scents coyotes despised. One morning, Evelyn found a diary tucked beneath her pillow. She recognized the handwriting as her own. The entries were disturbing. I can't stop hurting her. It's like a compulsion. Sometimes I dream I'm smothering them both with a pillow. The youngest cries too easily. I must make her stronger. Panicked, Evelyn tore it up and flushed it. 2 days later, the same diary appeared again with additional pages. Every time the book was destroyed and discarded, it would reappear with additional entries. One of Zuri's most effective tactics came in the bathroom. Zuri wrote cryptic messages in Vaseline on the bathroom mirror. When Evelyn took hot showers, the steam would reveal terrifying phrases. I see you. They're not yours. You will pay. Terrified, Evelyn stopped using that bathroom and started using the guest bathroom. Months later, Evelyn's eyes were bloodshot, her hair unkempt, and her voice cracking at random intervals. She began to unravel. Her nerves frayed. The perfect fiancé image began to collapse in front of the house staff and family friends. During a dinner party with high society socialites and elite guests, Zuri's dad whispered in Evelyn's ear, Are you okay? You don't seem like yourself? Evelyn was unhinged. Her smile cracked. She finally snapped. In the middle of a toast, she burst into a hysterical confession, screaming that she had only been trying to discipline Amara, to make her toughen up, to be more marriageable in their elite circle. That the girl was too soft, too emotional, too weak, she yelled. Gasps filled the room. Guests watched in horror. The silence was suffocating. Mr. Abuja stared at her, horrified. Zuri didn't say a word. She just sipped her lemonade and handed a napkin to Amara, who was crying, not from fear, but relief. The wedding was called off. Charges were filed. Evelyn was sentenced to 8 years in prison for child abuse and endangerment. She maintained her innocence, blaming Zuri for everything, accusing her of mental torment, but the evidence and her own breakdown sealed her fate. Their father, shaken and remorseful, apologized profusely for bringing that vile woman into their lives, for missing the signs, for prioritizing business over the attention of his daughters. Zuri simply nodded. Amara, relieved and safe, smiled for the first time in months. Zuri said with a sly grin, Family first. Mr. Abuja took time off work to rebuild what truly mattered, his daughters. Zuri, still quiet, still observant, resumed her role as the family anchor. She and Amara joyfully walked to school every morning, their bond forever strengthened. No one ever mentioned or could prove what Zuri did. The house staff happily resumed their duties as if Evelyn never existed.